Hi everyone! Today I'm going to talk to you about creating a working pantry in your home. Whether you have a lot of space or you're like me and have just a little bit of space. We're going to talk about how to stock that pantry, and it's kind of a beginner level getting started type of working pantry because that's pretty much where I'm at. We've always kept sort of a stock of food and supplies, and I've always wanted to keep like a 6 month to 1 year supply, but we've never quite had the money or never really took the time to invest in it. There are so many more reasons besides an illness to create a working pantry. Things like job loss, which we have experienced, storms. We're getting into spring where we're going to have more thunderstorms. We could have more power outages. I know I have friends who live in hurricane territory, so hurricane season. Anything like that is a good reason to create a working pantry. Now you could also create an emergency pantry, which is things that you're going to use only in an emergency. So you're going to set those things aside and they're your emergency stash only. I'm going with a working pantry because number one, I don't want to waste the food, and I also have a diabetic in the family who controls his diabetes with diet and exercise, and we also have gluten intolerance. So I want to stock my pantry with things that we're going to actually use and then just keep replenishing over time. So I'm going to kind of go over kind of some things we've stored in our pantry, how you can do that, where you can store it, especially if you don't have a lot of room, and just give you an idea of what that's going to take. Okay, so how to get your pantry started, especially when you might not have a lot of money to invest in it. You want to watch sales, you want to watch BOGO offers, buy one get one free. You want to watch Aldi, because Aldi is a great place to stock up on canned foods, and a lot of times they're going to be cheaper than even your sales. You can watch bulk items. Even Sam's Club sometimes has special discounts where if you buy so many of one product, you get so much discount off. So those are all things that you can kind of watch. If you get a Christmas bonus, you get a tax refund, anything like that, you can take some of that money and invest into your working pantry. Now I'm going to focus mainly on food, but I will give you a glimpse into our household supplies as well. But since I'm more into the food prepping, I'm going to show you more of what we stock for food, especially with having gluten intolerance and a diabetic in the household. When you're stocking a working pantry, you always want to stock the new things behind the old things. You want to constantly be rotating things out. So when you buy new green beans, kind of bring the old green beans forward and you put your new green beans behind, or you store them somewhere else completely. And you can get creative with storage solutions, places like closets, under futons, under beds, other shelves that might be sitting empty. Just get creative with that if you really are committed to creating a working pantry. So let's talk about what kinds of things you can stock in your working pantry. Now, in any given week, we're going to eat a lot of chicken. We're going to eat a lot of beef. I would really love to get into canning some beef, canning some meat, chicken even, because canned chicken is expensive. We eat some fish, and then we eat a lot of vegetables. And we don't eat a lot of rice or pasta. I did stock a little bit of rice and pasta and even some beans, but we don't eat a lot of that because my diabetic can't eat rice and beans. He has to really watch his carb intake. So I stocked a lot of canned meat and a lot of vegetables. So canned chicken, this is something that's really good to stock. And this can If we were to really ration it, we could probably go with 1, maybe 2, but we could probably go with 1 can a day for the whole family if we had to really ration it. I've stocked a lot of vegetables, so I'll show you our other cabinet in a few minutes, but we have beets, and then I also we have some leaf spinach, canned spinach, but it's good for, it's good. So I have a little bit of a jelly stock going, and then I have some honey, evaporated milk, and then I've started a little fruit stock because my kids really like, and I like too, fresh fruit. But in the case of not being able to get out to get fresh fruit, I'm stocking some canned fruits, and I'm trying to make sure I get ones that are in light syrup or fruit juice, so they're healthier. And then also we have things like we've canned apple butter, and we've canned our own applesauce. We have 1 jar of meat up there and some pickles. We're working on our home canned products. A few big cans of green beans that I've stocked because they were on sale. Grape juice. My oldest loves grape juice. He craves it. And grape juice is one of the healthier things that I can keep for him. So I try to keep a small inventory of grape juice. Not necessarily a survival thing, but something that he enjoys. So when you're doing a working pantry, you can stock things that you're going to need, but also some things that you might want. Now, some other things that we have stocked, again, things that you want. Popcorn. My youngest loves popcorn, so I'm keeping kind of a steady supply of popcorn. This is such a small space, but we have a food grade bucket that we have filled with 25 pounds of gluten-free flour. It's in a food grade bucket with a gamma lid, and I order that from Authentic Foods. I order their classical blend. It's my favorite gluten-free flour. And then I keep it in this bucket that I got at Lowe's. And the lid is special to help keep bugs out. And then we also have things like wheat berries or rye berries. Things that we can even grind our own flour. If you are gluten-free, you could store a large supply of rice to make your own rice flour. There's no end to the things that you could stock yourself with to be able to cook and bake the things that you want to make. I do have a stash of gluten-free flour up here, more like bread flours and cake flours, and then xanthan gum. And then we also have my son's, some of his baking supplies, and we keep some bread flour on hand. And then as for potatoes, we have our own potatoes, but we've had our own potatoes stocked since last summer when Jacob grew them in the garden. So, and we keep them down in the crawl space where it's a little bit cooler, and they'll keep longer. I keep a lot of these baking supplies for work purposes. So a lot of the xanthan gum, the Bisquick, the gluten-free flour. And then we also keep regular flours because some things I have to make with regular flour. And then my son also makes a lot of his own bread. We also keep a steady supply of tea, hot tea, and also coffee. So those are some things that you want to think about. You could even store coffee beans instead of actual ground coffee. You could keep a steady supply of Ziploc bags, trash bags, and then also cat food. If you have pets, pet food, dog food, cat food, chicken feed, anything like that, that you can store and keep in stock. Now, this is my other storage for food, and it's in the main kitchen area. So this is where I'm going to put things that we are actively using every week. Now, I did say that I do have a few bags of beans, and I did end up stocking a few bags of rice. These are mainly for emergency purposes because, again, we don't eat a lot of rice and beans. Once in a while we'll make some chicken fried rice, but it's very far and few between because Again, dietary needs. But we keep a good supply of condiments, things like maple syrup, peanut butter, dressings. The diabetic in my family eats a lot of salads, so we stock healthy salad dressings so that he can enjoy his salads. Things like ketchup, mustard, Miracle Whip, mayo, all those different things that you eat on a regular basis are things that you want to store in your pantry. I keep a few taco shells, but it's probably better to keep a bag of corn tortillas, or even make your own. You could make your own. Stock regular saltines for the kids, but for my gluten intolerance, I stock gluten-free saltines, so I always have something. If I were to get sick or something, I at least have something that I can nibble on. And they're really good with soup. And actually, these are better than regular saltines. They're so good. A lot of my baking supplies are work supplies. So baking powder, baking soda, cocoa powder, baking mixes for cake mix recipes. I keep a really big supply of sugar, brown sugar, and powdered sugar because I have a baking blog. So, and then we also have chicken breast and salmon and tuna. And I keep a small supply of pasta. We don't eat a lot of pasta, but I do keep a small supply because every once in a while you just want spaghetti or Alfredo. And then that gluten-free mac and cheese. It's great value. It's so good. We keep a lot of vegetables, so we eat a lot of green beans. Green beans all the way back to the wall. Canned tomato or crushed tomatoes, because we make all our own sauces. We pretty much cook from scratch. So we're making spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, any type of tomato-based sauce or soup, we have crushed tomatoes. Oats or steel-cut oats. And I keep some gluten-free oats. Now, pretty much all oats should be gluten-free, but there is risk of cross-contamination, so just watch your ingredients. And then dried fruits, like raisins and mango, those are good things to keep stocked, especially if your kids love to snack on them. We like to put raisins in oatmeal, so that's one reason that I keep them. And then, of course, I have a ton of baking and cake decorating supplies in here for my job, but and Jell-O mixes too. Your working pantry, again, it's going to be things that you need and use every day, but it can also be things that you want, like the hot cocoa mix, or like a bag of several bags of pretzels. I keep a good stock of tortilla chips because we eat a lot of chips and salsa, especially my boys. My boys love chips and salsa, guacamole, things like that. And then other things you might want to keep are things like graham crackers, your favorite cereals. The only cereal I buy right now are Cheerios. Another thing that I stock up on that really isn't priority, but for me it is chocolate. So as you can see, I have a good little stack of chocolate, Hershey's chocolate going, and then my favorite, the Lindt sea salt. So that's another thing that you don't really need, but you might want to stock up on in your working pantry. Now, we're going to talk about seasonings and spices. Oh, vanilla. Vanilla for baking. And I usually, we got our first bottle when we went over the border into Boquillas, but you can also order it. And I'll leave the link to that in the description below, where you can order this big bottle of vanilla. And this vanilla lasts, this bottle of vanilla lasts me 2 years, even with baking for a living. So, pretty awesome. Other things that you want to stock are seasonings and spices, and then oils and bouillon or stock. We keep a lot of seasonings on hand. And as long as you have lots of salt and pepper, even if you don't have a lot of seasonings, as long as you have salt and pepper, you'll have flavor. So I keep a lot of this chicken broth and beef broth base just so we have it. Cinnamon, we use a lot of cinnamon. And then again, down here we have a lot of pickling salt. I'm not sure why we have so much of that, but chili powder. I love these Badia spices because they are gluten-free. Every single one of them has been. Smoked paprika has become one of my favorite seasonings. And then again, as long as you keep a good supply of salt and pepper, you're good on flavor. Molasses, we have some apple cider vinegar. We also have a good supply of regular vinegar because you can use that for washing fruits and vegetables, for cleaning, for multiple things, recipes, multiple things. You can even make your own buttermilk with it or sour milk. We have some canola oil. That's mainly for my baking, for my work. We have olive oil, a little bit of Crisco. These are just some things that we keep stocked. And this is not a huge supply, but you'd be surprised how long a container of spices can last, especially one of these big ones. And especially if you happen to be rationing it. But you can also buy spices in bulk and bag them and put them in containers. That would be an idea if you really wanted to store back spices. Now we also do stock some water. We have some gallons that we bought. You can also buy bottles so that they're easier to pack and take with you. We do keep some bottles for when we're traveling, but you could also take your milk gallons and your empty milk gallons and your juice jugs, and you could clean those out really good and fill those up with water and keep them stored somewhere. Another good thing to stock is dried milk, because if you were to have a power outage, you might need some milk for cooking, or if you have young children. I have a 3-year-old, so I have a couple cans of dried milk just in case. And if we happen to not use these cans for any reason, then I will use them in recipes. I can mix it up and use it in recipes. But this is kind of, well, I'm not going to use dried milk every day. This is sort of an emergency stash within my working pantry. So there will be some items like that you will need to stock. As for cleaners, we pretty much only use 2 or 3 cleaners. So Tough and Tender is one that we use on a regular basis. And then I also keep a stock of some of these things we've gotten with free from Norwex. I also keep a good stock of Soluguard from Melaleuca. It's more of a disinfectant. And as far as disinfecting, we usually use Norwex rags in the kitchen, but I will use this sometimes if we've been sick or if I have something really messy that I need to clean up. I'll use this. And then Thieves. I keep a good supply of Thieves household cleaners because I make our own household wipes. I just make sure that I have a good stock of stain treatment and also our laundry detergent, and I order all of it from Melaleuca. And then I also use this as a booster in my laundry. So I'll mix it up. It lasts forever. I'll mix it up and pour just a capful in my laundry, every load of laundry. So I do keep laundry supplies on hand as well. Hygiene supplies. Things that we stock are shampoo, hand soap. Well, we buy Castile soap. It lasts forever. I think we calculated out, it was like 50 cents a bottle making our own hand soap with that. And then we also have toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, lots of deodorant. I have my CBD lotion, coconut oil, because we use that with our essential oils, first aid supplies, and lip balms, and hand sanitizer. I get the Thieves from Young Living. And then peroxide and some rubbing alcohol. And then I keep some things down here to mix things up with oils and some travel supplies. In our bars of soap, I keep a pretty good supply of soap for us as well. I also have it stored away in another area. So this is not all that we have. have our medicine stocked up. The main thing we stocked up for illness is Mucinex, because that's about the only medicine that really helps when we get colds. Ibuprofen, Tylenol, just the normal. And then of course I keep, for Zeke, I keep a little supply of ibuprofen and Tylenol and some saline drops and a little bit of cough syrup, and then our thermometers. And then I also stock any medications that we take, which right now I'm the only one that's on a regular medication for my thyroid. And then things like I have some vitamin C, we have Tums, of course. I have some colloidal silver, some elderberries, some vitamin D, probiotic, just calcium, things that we use on a regular basis. That is what I store. I also keep some Oslo, I don't know how to say that, but I keep that. And then of course activated charcoal. I do keep that on hand. Instead of Gatorade, I keep these little Propel electrolyte beverage powders, and we can mix them up as we need them, and they don't have any sugar, and they also don't have all the colors that you would get in regular Gatorade, so they work really well for our family. I also keep some lollies for Zeke for when he has a sore throat, and some cough drops. I have a little stock of cough drops for if we get cough or get colds. We use a lot of oils. We diffuse them, and we also use them when we get sick. The main ones that I stock a lot of them, as you can see, but Thieves is the one that we use every single day. And for when we get sick, especially with the cold, I like to stock RC or Ravensara just for help relieving those symptoms. Some kids' oils like Sleepy Eyes and Tummy Jies and Sniffles. I think that is Sniffles. Yeah. So I keep a good supply of oils on hand as well. All right, as far as household goes, things like tissues, toilet paper, paper towels. We don't use a ton of paper towels, but we do keep some on hand because we'll use them sometimes, and we use them when we go camping some too. Of course, diapers and pull-ups, because we're kind of in that in-between potty training stage. All right, I think that's about it. We're going to keep filling our pantry though, and keep adding things and stocking things. So if you want to follow along on our pantry adventures, whether it's for baking or cooking, or maybe even some of our household, be sure and subscribe, and be sure and like and share this video if you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.